Hi everyone, it's your girl Mally. Welcome to my channel. On this episode, I have a few special guests with me. And before we get to introductions, we are going to be talking about friendship. So things that we learned during our 20s, lessons learned, maybe some of them were hard lessons learned, but still lessons learned during our 20s. And I have three beautiful ladies with me, and I'm very excited to do this episode with them.
Hello, so my name is Lucy. I am a mom of three. I'm married. I do have a YouTube channel. I have not uploaded it and uploaded anything in I was looking and it was like 8 months. So it's been a while, but we actually are gonna go on a little trip that my kids don't know about. So hopefully they're not being muscles and listening because they are. And so I kind of want to vlog it because I like to vlog. That's what I like to do, daily vlogs. I first started with like challenges and then I just started doing daily vlogs. I'm like, you know what? I love this because as my kids grow, they could just go and see all the adventures we've done, how much they've grown. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Thanks. All right,
Awesome.
Sandy?
Yeah, I can go. So my name is Sandy and I am married. I am 30 years old. I have three kids and I basically am mostly on TikTok. And I just recently started kind of getting on Instagram again. I kind of left it like to die once TikTok came out. But I'm starting to realize I should be posting on both. I think just because there's open doors for every platform. I feel like I'm not so good at like blogging or vlogging yet, but I'm starting to get the hang of it. And I live in California. I've always lived here, San Fernando Valley, LA, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I'm just super excited to chat with you ladies and meet you guys finally. There's like so many women that I've like come across where I'm just like, oh, I know you, but I only base it off the profile picture that's like that big.
Hi, my name is Gissell. I am a 32-year-old mom to a 16-year-old. I have Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. All of them I'm under simply Gissell. I'm mostly like a foodie kind of person, especially on my
Love that.
YouTube. But like on TikTok and Instagram, well, Instagram also like a whole bunch of food stuff, but TikTok is like a whole bunch of like everything. I live in Chicago. Right now it's snowing. It's cold, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
So a fun fact, well, Lucy's from my hometown, so I've known Lucy for, I don't know when I met Lucy, but I've known her for a really long time. And Sandy and Gissell I met on TikTok. So if you see my other videos, Gissell was on one of them. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you check it out. And Sandy, we haven't done a video before, so this is the first time we're
First
kind
time
of
for me for any of this, so I'm excited.
Yeah, it'll be good. But like you said, Sandy, like sometimes like you know people, but you don't know them. It's weird. It's a weird thing because you see their family, you see their kids, you see, what they're doing on a daily basis. So it's really interesting. It's a fun little community.
Yeah.
So I will add everybody's like handles and everything to the description. And so if you all can follow Lucy, Sandy, and Gissell. And Gissell, I'm sure, is going to connect here in a second. She just got home. But we'll go ahead and get started. So, oh, Gissell was going to be the first one.
I was like,
I can
Yeah.
go. I
Good.
guess for me, a little bit of like my background is that I became a mom at like 18, 19 years old. So like that topic about friendship, it was something that hit me like very out of the blue, right? Because I was kind of like young and kind of just doing my own thing and stuff. And you grow up with the same friends, right? They're like your ride or die. They're always there. You go and have adventures with them and blah, 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 right? And as soon as I got pregnant, like they were there up until I gave birth. And then after that, se fueron. They're like flew. And I'm like, wait, where are my friends? And I think it was so hard for me to transition from like being this like teenager, kind of an adult, but don't know what I'm doing to like, okay, you're a mom now, you have things to like start shifting, but I didn't shift right away. It took me a while to really get out of the mental space that like, I am a kid with the kid, you know, and I have to grow up. And so my friendship journey shifted so fast. And around that time too, I kind of like became Christian and got saved. So I really kind of had to like pick and choose my friendships. And then at the same time, my husband actually got into like the financial business. And so we were kind of like everywhere. We're like, we're a kid, but we're also Christian. So like we have to like make better choices, but we're also over here in this business. And we're like, we literally had friends of all ages, you know? And part of me wanted to go and be that young, like, you know, go out and drink still and all that stuff. And then the other part of me was like, no, but I have to figure out my future and figure out how am I going to provide for my son and fix my marriage and all that. So like it really felt like a tug and pull type of thing. And I found myself gravitating more towards the older crowd because they were already parents, you know, they already kind of like the conversations with them were like about the future and buying a house. And, you know, my kids are like your age, right? And like they would just give us so much tips and so much like knowledge. And I don't know, like I started to gravitate to that and be like an old soul, you know. But it was cool. It was really cool to see like that they didn't judge me back, you know. And I felt like my age group people, it was just kind of like still kind of like that high school mentality, that kind of like I need to go out and do this and do that, which there's nothing wrong with. But like when you have a kid, you kind of have to choose and decide, you know. So that was kind of like my whole shifting of like friendship situations that like really took me by surprise.
Yeah, that makes a lot, I mean, a lot of sense. I'm not a parent, but like I could see that where, you know, when you just get out of high school, you are doing your party stage, you know, you go to college and stuff. But then also like who do you want around your kids? Like,
Yeah.
you know, do you want the party, the person that wants to take you out to party, or, you know, the other parent that's like doing the what's it called, like the play dates and things like that. Did you ever
Yeah.
reconnect with like any of your like friends from like high
So
school?
so yeah, that's actually such a good point that you brought that up. So I felt like I had to choose, right? Because I did also get saved and become Christian. So I was like, I was really like there was like a heart, like my heart wants to be with my friends because I'm comfortable and I have so many memories, but then a part of me was like, but I know I shouldn't be doing those things anymore, you know. And so it was like a tug and pull in my heart, but I still loved them and I still cared about them. But I think for my own mental growth, I had to kind of like leave those friendships behind if I wanted to move forward in life, you know? And later on, right? And I never like deleted them on Instagram or Facebook or anything. And some of them are still doing, you know, that kind of stuff, which there's nothing wrong with, you know, they're not parents or anything. Um, but I was like, I would see them at like gatherings and stuff, and I would always just go up to them, say hi to them, say how you doing, because deep down in them, they were not my friends just because they drank. They're my friends because of who they are. You know, they still loved me, they still cared about me in those seasons. You know, we would do dumb stuff, but we cared about each other. You know, and so every time I see them, even till this day, like my heart, like I'm just like, oh, like I'm glad they're doing okay. I'm glad, you know, we catch up. They always ask me how old is my oldest son, because that's the last, you know, child they kind of saw me with. And I'm like, he's 10 now, you know, and they're like, oh my gosh, you know. So I think that we remained that friendship there, but I feel like it'll be hard to connect until maybe their parents and they have kids, you know, and then they'll kind of be like, oh, that makes sense, you know. And that's how I felt too. Like I think I couldn't relate to parenting until I became a parent, you know. It's totally different than reading the books, totally different than what you hear. Even when our parents tell us like stuff, it's not going to compare until you're a parent. Then you kind of like, oh, now I get what my mom said. Oh, now I get why the book said to do this or not do this or this or that. So yeah, so I don't purposely go find and connect them, but if I see them, I always love them. I always talk to them. I never like feel like, oh, I'm better than you because I don't do this or that. Like, no, no, no. But my friendships definitely like I like to choose people that genuinely care, you know, and that's why I feel like even the people that I've met on TikTok and stuff, we don't like see each other, but like I know that everybody on there is so genuine. And I'm like, I wish we all lived in like a little community and we can all just go hang out. That's like my dream if we could. But for now, Zoom and all this stuff, it'll do. It'll do.
Yeah. So Lucy, you were also a young mom.
Yes.
What is your experience? Did you have a similar experience as Sandy?
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Yes, same. I was 17 when I had my son, so young mom. My second child, I had her at 19. My third child, I was planned. I'm like, I want another baby. It was at 22. I was 22, so I was a young mom. Like all my young years was a mom. Friends, let's see. Well, I had a best friend who got pregnant too. Honestly, all my friends, we were all teen moms. We were all teen moms together. But I only connected with one friend, which is Melly's sister. She's still my best friend. Love her to death. For anything, I would always call her. I would text her. She was my only friend that I could talk to about anything. We could relate on things. I would ask her about advice and stuff like that. But everybody else, other teen moms that were my friends, we didn't really connect. Their situation was different, so I think that's what kind of separated us a little bit. But yeah, I don't really talk to anybody in school. I do see them. When I see them, I do say hi, and it is nice to see them, catch up with them. But it's crazy to see how, I was going through it as a young mom, and they were living their best life, partying, having fun. And then it's like now they're at the age where they have their kids, and like my kids are so grown now. And it's just like, oh, I see them struggling, and I'm like, oh my gosh, been there, done that. I know what you're going through. If you need to talk to me about anything, I'm here for you. But yeah, same thing. I lost a lot of people, but you lose people come and go. It's just those people that honestly really cared about you and really cared about you and really were there for you, pretty much, that are the ones that stick around. And honestly, a friend is only one person, which is Mireya. And you guys, I feel like we grew up together with Melly and her older sister too. And you guys are like my second family, and I love that. See your mom, I saw her yesterday. I always give her a hug, say hi to them. It's like, sadly, like I always tell them, your mom, I was your guys's adopted sister that your mom did not want at the house, but I was always there. So I had good times with them, and like I said, they are like my friends, and everybody else is just family that I grown to. I mean, they're awesome. They're friends. There's a difference between family and friends. Family could be there and family could be bad for you. But most of the family that I have is amazing. I love them. If I could choose them as my family, I would choose them, like my in-laws. But you go through it with people, you lose people come and go. So that's my thing.
Yeah. Gissell, you kind of were out a little bit. I don't know if you got part of that or have anything to add.
No, I heard, but yeah, so I'm also a teen mom myself, and I mean it's different because obviously I had my daughter. Well, I'm sure obviously as teen mom you meant like high school, right? And then back then when I first started high school, I was really shy, but I had friends who were my friends. And then I had my daughter when I was like in junior year. And I remember freshman year, sophomore year, we were so close that we were like, oh my God, we're always gonna be friends forever, blah, blah. Like, we're gonna go to church. You like swear in La Virgen that we're gonna be friends forever. Out of like 5 of them, I'm still friends with only one. And she's actually gonna be one of my bridesmaids. And the other ones, like, they just moved on with their own life, which obviously I don't blame them, like obviously we were all kids, so they have their own life. They were living their own like little teenage life. But with having a kid, you do see friendship a little bit different. You get me? Because there are some people that want to be there for you, and then there's some that, like, if they don't have any kids, like, they don't really understand what you're going through, and like they want to say, oh, let's do this and let's do that, and then they forget that you have a kid, and you're like, I would love to, but I have a kid, so like, can I bring my kid with me? And then there was friendships like early in my 20s. My daughter was already a little bit older, but like I still wanted to bring her with me, and they will be like, oh no, let's just go some other time, or like, oh, it's okay, we'll just plan something some other time. And I'm just like, you knew I have a kid, so like, why do you make these plans where I can't include my child? You get me? But again, I don't blame them, because obviously, like, that's not their problem. Like, that's my child. So I don't know, you just see, like, you see who really wants to be there for you, and then who just wants to be there just to, like, have a good time, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way to put it. And like I said, I don't have kids. So I mean, my friendships changed when I got out of high school, but one thing that, I do have friends that had kids young, but I mean, I couldn't hang out with them if I was like, in college, and obviously I couldn't invite them because I'm like, oh, pues they're not gonna want to, hang out. They're not gonna want to go to the club. But now that I'm older, I do, I mean, a lot of my friends already, have their kids are older, and that's one thing that I'm like, oh, what can we do that we can bring your kid? And I do feel like sometimes they're like, oh, I can't because I have things with my kids. And what I've done, I'm like, oh, like, because I think if you're going to make friendships work, that's one of my lessons. And maybe it was something that you all had too, like that friendships take work. I mean, even planning this today, right? It took us some maneuvering, but we did it. And we're connecting via Zoom. So I bet if we were connecting like in person, it would be like a couple of other things. Yeah.
Where are we meeting? What time? Can we bring the kids? Do you have snacks?
Yeah. Well, and the episode that I filmed with Laura, it's the last episode, she actually brought her daughter, and there's like a few clips where her daughter would come in, and I would just, I cut it out. But I've had other friends that I'm like, oh, like we just can't get our schedules to, match. And so I'm like, okay, when is your daughter practice? Because she's like, oh, I have practice, I have this practice, and then I have my son's practice over there. And so what I did, I'm like, okay, just tell me when your daughter's having practice. I'm like, I will go and hang out with you while you're waiting for your daughter to practice.
That's so sweet. Oh my gosh. And, that is so nice. That means so much coming from a mom's standpoint, like that you're willing to do that. Like, if people are not your friend, they're missing out. Seriously.
Yeah, but that is true. Like, it does take somebody, like, if I didn't have a kid and I know that somebody does, like, it's up to me to make that decision whether I want to be friends with that person or not, because obviously that kid, kind of like in a relationship, like, it's up to me, like, if I don't want to be friends with that person because of whatever reason, like I shouldn't make that parent sacrifice like their time with their kid. You get me? Like, obviously this kid is in their life, and I don't know what their relationship is like with the other parents, but like, say the kid is with them 24/7, like, I can't expect them to just leave the child at home, especially if they're little, and then, hey, let's go to the club really quick. Obviously, like, that's a parent, so obviously their point of view is going to be very different than mine,
Yeah. Can I share what I've been doing recently, actually? So, and I want to know your guys' opinion on this topic, because I heard this girl, I don't even know her name. I'm really bad with names. I have to like put a picture in my mind of that person, but she's like super influencer or whatever. And she did this video on TikTok that was super viral. And she's like, I'm a low maintenance type of friend. Like, I don't have to see you for weeks. I don't have to see you. We can talk a little bit, and I'm fine with that. I saw that, and I saw so many people in the comments are like, yes, I agree. Da, da, da. Me personally, this is my opinion, and what I've seen is I grow the most with friendship as a person, as an individual, as like mentally, my mental space, like everything. And I noticed that, well, one, when I became Christian, but two, when just recently, like maybe 2 years ago or so, I started reconnecting with a lot of my friends that I knew from high school, right? And we parted our ways or whatever. fast forward, we have kids around the same age, and we're like, oh, let's meet up. Of course, the first meetup is always the hardest because schedule wise and everything. But once you get in the flow, once you plan every like so often to hang out and you talk or whatever, we created a group chat and everything. And let me tell you, like all of us are thriving right now in our own marriages, in our own family, with our own kids. Back then, we were like, I'm struggling with this. This is going on. I feel so alone. I feel so this. And so my perspective was like, I don't really agree with that part of what she said. I think that friendship is essential in life, like married, not married, kids, no kids. Like you're not like meant to live life alone. You're meant to live it in community. Now, finding that community is a different story, but like I didn't really agree with that. I was like, I don't think that's right, because then you're basically saying I'm not willing to put in the effort to meet with anybody. You know, that was my perspective. And I was like, I don't really agree with that. What do you guys think? I don't know.
Well, one of my friends, so I do in some ways, and I do in some. I agree with some stuff, and some I don't. But you did kind of make me think about it. Like, I guess, yeah. Like again, like in a relationship, you have to put in the effort, right? So like my bridesmaid, I guess I'm the kind that doesn't really require that much time. So like my bridesmaid that I was talking about, she has 3 kids, and they're all little. And I have a 16-year-old, you know? So like, I know that we're friends. And like, honestly, the last time that I saw her was like 5 years ago, before this year. But we would always like message each other and like say happy birthday to each other. And like, you know, we have each other on social media, obviously. So I would like, she would see me post, I would see her post. And then like, you know, if she posted something about her kids, like, I'd be like, oh my God, you know? And like, if I post something about my daughter, she'd be like, oh my God, you know? So like, we always had that communication, but like, we never saw each other that much. And especially because, like, again, like I said, her kids are smaller. So like, I didn't want to be that friend to be like, hey, let's do this, or hey, let's do that, knowing that she has these kids. And then I saw that she was always like, each one has like some type of activity that they're involved in. So I'm like, okay, obviously her schedule is going to be very different than mine. So the last time that once I asked her to be my bridesmaid, after that, I've seen her a little bit longer, a little bit more, obviously, because of the whole like wedding planning and stuff. So I have seen her a little bit more often. But we were talking about me and her when we saw each other again, like after 5 years. I was like, oh my God, like we sat there and we like talked and talked and talked. And I was like, this is like, we're talking like I just saw you yesterday. Like, this is a real friendship, you know, like I haven't seen you in 5 years, but like we see each other and like no time has passed, you know? So like, I guess I'm that kind of friend, but she knows that I'll always be there for her. And I know she'll always be there for me. So I don't know. And then, yeah, like I said, like obviously my daughter is older. So like I have more free time than her. So like, I don't expect her to like, you know, have the same time that I do, like time available. So like, I always wait for her to like tell me, you know, hey, you want to do something or whatever. But yeah.
I am kind of in between too. I feel like I'm kind of a low maintenance, but then me and my friend, I mean, we text probably twice a month, but when we see each other, it's like we, you know, like we're just I just saw her yesterday, you know, pretty much.
Yeah.
So we just keep up with each other. It does help that me and her are best friends and our husbands are best friends
Best friends.
as well.
Wow.
So
That
Oh,
does
okay.
help.
that
Yeah.
helps so much. And I do know that they're kind of a low maintenance people as well. Like they've even said, like, you know, I'm so sorry. I'm a person that hardly ever texts you, but just know that I think about you. And my husband's like me, we're kind of more social. We're kind of more the ones that are like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like we should do something. And then we see them and it's like so cool. And then we're there having a good time and we're planning the trips and blah, blah, blah. Do they happen? No, but you know, in our minds, we're like, hey, we're having a great time, you know. But
Yeah.
so yes, I feel you. I feel you on it. I feel like I'm half and half. Like if I don't text you for a month, just know I would feel like I need some love. Like I would text somebody and be like, hello, how are you? Haven't heard from you in like years. And it's only been 3 weeks, you know. But I feel like I'm more social. So like I said, it's half and half with me.
Yeah. So you usually would reach out, like you said, like you'll be the one. Yeah.
Yes.
I think I'm more like the social person too. But recently too, I noticed that one of my friends like, hey, what are you doing Friday and stuff? And I mean, we live close, so I know it's different when, you know, your friends live farther or whatever. We live like within the same, like, you know, San Fernando Valley area. So, but yeah, like I think the good thing is that you guys kept that communication, you know, that's like number one, I feel, is like checking. And I feel like, in my opinion, like as a mom, we're never gonna have time. Like we're never gonna have time because the kids always come first, our husbands come next. And so that's why for me personally, this past like 2 years, I'm like, I think I neglected my time and myself so much that I was like, I don't even know who I am. I just know myself as a mom and that's it, you know? And that's why for me personally, I made it intentional. Like, hey, like I could still have fun and bring my toddler with me because my friend has a toddler. Like, why are we going to just be in our prison of a house just because I'm a mom? Like, that's not, like, we don't have to do that. We could, you know, save money and be home, but we go to the park and we go have breakfast, we go get coffee, the kids fight and argue, they make a mess, whatever house we choose, and it's fine. But like, that's where I saw a breakthrough where I'm like, whoa, like I was able to find a friend or a few friends that like, they're not going to judge me. They're not going to like, you know, we're kind of in the same perspective as parenting goes. Like we're not like, you know, like Hispanic households, you know, the way I gritar and all this stuff. No, like we're all like, hey, they're learning. Our toddlers are fighting, but they're learning. And we just sit and watch. We're like, they're arguing again. Okay, let them handle it. Or like, okay, I'm gonna go get him now. He's being too much. And that's what I feel like people can miss out on, because I'm sure, like as you guys shared, when you get with your friend, it's like the best time ever. And so like me personally, I just been more intentional, like building friendship in person. It's hard. It's definitely hard. It's so hard. And sometimes it, like you said, Lucy, like plans get canceled and stuff. But like the effort is there, you know, and I think both of you guys, you know, like you can see that you guys are being intentional with that. And then Melly, like, hey, I'll meet you at, like, that is so awesome. Like honestly. And I feel like that's what we need. Like if everybody did that, like I think everybody would be happy, you know?
No, Melly's a
And I
good
mean, as long
friend
as
that has
it's
no kids.
age.
Robin?
Oh, sorry. I was saying, I'm like, Melly's that good friend that has no kids that's there to support and like.
We need more
support
Melly.
everybody. Yes.
It's just
We need more
sometimes it's, like,
Mellys in our lives.
therapeutic. I feel like, you know, like I have a date with we schedule dates with one of my friends, and sometimes we go and just get Botox, you know, if that's like our date.
I
Like
love that.
we gotta squeeze it in wherever. And like after, you know, it's just like, ooh, you know, like I gotta say what I needed to say, and it's a different perspective, and it's somebody that also knows you, and like I love that piece. So when, you know, Sandy, you said something like about growing together. Like I can totally see that, because it's like a different perspective. Y a veces me dice, which is some of my lessons here too, that, you know, like she might not always agree with it, but like it's different than the one person that I hang out with every single day.
Right. That's what I think I get out of it, is that therapeutic part, because we do talk a lot. Like the kids play and we're like, okay, girl, what happened with last time? With da da da. I'm like, okay, now we got to work on that. Yeah, we do. And I think that's why I seek it, because it is definitely therapeutic. It's like, oh, you know, I'm not crazy. I'm not the only one thinking this. Like, okay, maybe I need to work on that, because our husbands are never gonna fill a woman cup of knowledge from us, because they will never get it. They are not gonna get it. Their own perspective. And I think that's why, now that you pointed that out, I think that's why I seek it and I like it. I'm gonna mute myself because an alarm's going off.
Oh, I actually have to, we have to jump on the other link that I sent, because we have 1 minute left on this.
Sorry, I pressed that on accident.
Oh, you're okay.
I'm renaming my thing. Are we all here already? Yeah,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Can you all can see each other?
Yeah, I think you have to slide one more. Yeah, there we go.
Who, me?
No, I think
No.
it has like the three. Well, I'm on my phone, so I just had a slide.
Yeah, there's an option, I think a gallery option.
Oh, look at that. I did not know that. Okay, now I can see all
No,
of
I
you.
know, because
when
before I was
someone
just seeing
talking,
one person
Yeah, when the person was talking, it would like pop up
pop
there.
up to them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're all here.
Here we are. Do you want to unraise your hand?
Oh, I'm sorry. How do I do
You know,
that?
I see the little hand like.
There's probably a button at the bottom that has like the little hand.
Well, it
Oh
goes
my,
away after. It goes away after like a couple. Actually, no, it doesn't. Right? It stays on. I
Yeah, I
forget.
think you choose it. It's under reactions.
oh, there you go. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. The little hand.
I have a question.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So we got cut off there because the time ran out on Zoom. Later on I'm gonna upgrade to Zoom, but it's like $14.99 a month. So I'm like, oh wait a little bit.
We're using the free version right now until Melly
Exactly.
makes that
That's how we
that
roll.
YouTube money.
Exactly. But I thought we would start with Gissell because Gissell, you had a lesson you wanted to share. Remember? Do you remember
Yes.
it?
I remember, yes.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so my lesson is not every friendship is meant to stay in your life forever.
Forever.
I mean, some will stay, some won't. So I've had lots of friends and in different stages of my life. So like I said, in high school, obviously I had I had my friends in high school. So that was that part of my life, which I only kept one, right? And then in my 20s, there was this grocery store where I used to work, and I had a lot of friends there. Like I made a lot of friends with my coworkers. Um, it was like two guys and no, like three guys and a girl. And we would go everywhere. And these were the kind of friends that like they knew I had a daughter. And I appreciate them. And like sometimes I think about them and I'm like, oh, like I like that friendship that I had at that moment because I feel like they were there for me during that time. So like I feel like some people are meant to come into your life and be there, I guess, to kind of be like a lesson, I guess. So in this case, like friendship lesson, right? And they would go with me, like I would go with them and we would go everywhere together. And they never left out my daughter. So like, you know, the weekends that I couldn't go out because obviously I had my daughter, because I would have my daughter like every other weekend because obviously I'm not with her dad. So like the other weekends, like some weekends she was with me and then the other weekends she was with her dad. So on the weekends that she was with me, like they knew my schedule. So like do you guys have a Huck Finn by where you guys are at? Or is this a Chicago thing? No? Oh, so it's like a Huck Finn. So it's like a little diner, kind of. No? So anyway, so here in Chicago, we have this like little diner called Huck Finn. And before COVID, they were open 24/7. And this was the spot where like a whole bunch of like drunk people would go after like the club and stuff, right? And like just munch out like on pancakes and stuff. So I used to love going there. My daughter loved going there. We still love going there. So we would literally be at my house, just but my little apartment, me and my friends would like be in my house and we would be watching movies, and just having a good time. And then if they were in my house by like 2, 3 in the morning, we'd be like, hey, let's go to Huck Finn and like, make fun of all these drunk people that are just like, wasted. And my daughter would come with us and it was such a good time during that time. They taught me how to drive. Like when I had like, relationship problems, like they were always there for me. And obviously I didn't last there long. I was probably there for like a year and a half. And then everybody ended up moving, like, I went to school, so I ended up leaving from there. And then everybody just started moving on. And we just slowly started drifting apart. Like obviously I wasn't working there anymore. So then I started working somewhere else. And like, it was just hard to keep contact with them. But I do think about them and I do appreciate their friendship during that time. And I'm not friends with any of them anymore. Like we drifted apart. And then later on, I had another friend. This was maybe like my mid 20s or maybe like 23, I would say. I had another friend, and this was a friend that kind of like broke my heart. And I don't know if you guys have ever had any like friendship heartbreaks, but this was it. And I feel like ever since her, like it's kind of like a relationship. Like I can't trust anyone else. Or I do trust, but it's like, can I really trust you? You get me? Like it's hard for me to say, okay, this is an actual friend. You get me? So with this girl, we had a lot of good times as well. we would go clubbing everywhere, you know, we were always there for each other. She had a kid too. So like, you know, when we would go out with our kids, so our schedules were kind of the same because she wasn't with the father's dad either. So like when her kid wasn't with her, mine wasn't with me. And when they were, we both of our kids were with us. So we would always like go out, you know, plan things that involved like obviously the kids. And that's why that friendship during that time I really liked as well, because I felt like we always leaned on each other. She went through like some heartbreak and I was there for her like a friend. And we had gone to high school together, but in high school we didn't talk until after like around our 20s when we like, you know, we were like, hey, like I didn't like you because you seem like a bitch. And she's like, and I didn't like you because you seem like a bitch. And I was like, oh my God. And then look at us, like we're like friends. So anyways, we were probably friends for like 2 years. And I don't know what happened, but she just like one day stopped talking to me. And I don't know why. But I did notice that a lot of the times we would go out with other girls and those girls would tell me things that she would say about me. So, you know, like little by little, I started kind of like, I'm not confrontational, so I never like questioned her. But I was just like, did she low-key not like me? Because I was the kind of friend that like, if somebody were to talk bad about her, be like, don't talk about her. You know, like if you're gonna say something about her, like don't say nothing about her. Like that's the kind of friend that I was. So when she just stopped talking to me, I was just like, what the hell? Like she deleted me off all social media, like everything. Like she just literally went blank. And I never really questioned it either because I was just like, okay, well, if she doesn't want to be my friend, like, I mean, we had a good time. So maybe this was the end of that friendship. You get me? So ever since then, like, besides my bridesmaids, like, I haven't made other friends. You get me? Like, at least here, like, in person. And I think a lot, what helps is that I have my cousins. And to me, my cousins are like my sisters, my friends, like, they're the whole package. So I feel like I've never really seeked friendships out of like this group that I already have, because with them, I feel like I can lean on them with like for everything and anything, and they'll give me good advice. You get me? So yeah, I just feel like anybody that's young, like if you can find a good friendship, like hold on to it, you know, and like try to make it work. If something, you know, I guess it was my fault that I didn't ask her like what happened. And actually recently she just like added me like on all social medias again. So I was just like, okay, I guess you just need some time. But I don't think I can trust her again. You get me? Like it's just really hard for me to trust again. Like especially if you've already done this before. Like kind of like a cheater, once a cheater, always a cheater, like, you know.
I feel like that's why communication is key to everything. Like, you know, I always say that to my kids, to everybody that I know. I'm like, communication is key with your husband. Communication is key, you know. Communication is key with your friendship as well, because if there's something that's going on that's bothering them, you're never going to know about it because, you know, you don't bring it up. You know, you could bring it up softly or just be like, hey, you know, I feel a vibe from you. What's going on? That's the way I am. Like, when I know something is bothering one of my friends, I could feel their energy. I could see it in their face. And I'm always like, so what's going on? Like, what are you feeling? Because I know something's wrong. And then de allí uno habla, and then yeah, everything's good. It's like nothing happened. And it's like, dude, if you would have came to me with this a long time ago, we wouldn't have had this big issue.
Yeah.
But communication is key for sure. And if you were feeling,
I did learn that from what happened with her. I was like, okay, like, you know, like you said, yeah, communication is key. So maybe if I would have asked her like, hey, what's going on, whatever, I just kind of like let it go. And like, I guess I didn't fight for our friendship. You know, obviously during that time I was like going through my own stuff. So I was just like, you know what, like,
whatever.
I can't deal with this and then deal with this too. Like there's too much drama. Like, so I was like, you know what, I don't even care. Like at this point, it is what it is. You know, you stopped talking to me. You couldn't even talk. And I feel like she also failed to tell me like whatever it is that bothered her. So I guess we both failed in like communicating like what was bothering, like me asking her and her telling me. You get me? So it's like I learned from that, you know, like if something like that to happen, like
I
communication.
feel
Yeah.
you. I feel that conversation because I feel like I'm going through a relationship, a breakup too.
Mhm.
And it's hard and we're not communicating, you know, but it's like,
Well,
it's so different because how do I say this without saying too much? Like
I know, right?
my daughter's like, "Are you gonna spill the tea?" And I was like, "I'll see." So it's different because it involves our kids. Like this whole situation is different because it
Mhm.
involves our kids. But it's like it's crazy. It's something so that it wasn't even that big and it got really big because we were not communicating, you know? And she deleted me off of all social medias like you. That's why I feel like I feel you because she deleted me and I'm like, you know what, girl, I'm good in my heart. I know what really happened. Like, I have good communication with my daughter. We have open relationship. Like I saw everything that happened between them. And I'm just like, I know that my daughter was not in no wrong. So I don't care. If you want to delete me, you know, your loss, whatever. I don't
Yeah.
care. But
To-
I feel like communication is key. I told my daughter, this is a good example of communication is key. We had no communication, friendship failed. So yeah, so she knows.
Learned, you know? So
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna piggyback to what Lucy said, where the communication is key, is like, and to your story, just is that if you didn't know how to communicate, like they didn't teach you when you were younger, you're gonna grow up not knowing how to communicate, you know? And I did what you did just a lot of times. Like I was very reserved, really shy. And so any confrontation, I just like retreated. I'm like, oh, they don't want to be my friend. And then I just left. And I'm like picturing when I was little, and I always had one friend in elementary school, one friend in every year. It would just migrate, whoever's in my class at the time. And as I grew up, right, and even just recently too, also, Lucia, I went through something and I didn't know how to communicate with friends to tell them, hey, this what you said bothered, like, no, like even thinking about that like gets me all like, no, but I don't want to have fights, you know? And it stems from not knowing or not being taught how to communicate as a younger child, you know, because if you grew up in a Hispanic household, it's like you don't say anything, te callas, or you're gonna get in trouble or nothing. And so that causes so much damage. So I love that you said, Lucy, that you're showing your daughter, like even being vulnerable, like, hey, this is what I'm going through as an adult, and I did my part, you know, and teaching our kids, like, all you have to do is say your part, you know, like you're never going to know what the other person's feeling if they don't tell you, and that's not in your control. Like you can't control someone like, hey, tell me what you're feeling right now, you know, if they don't want to, right? You open the door to talk, you open the door to communicate, and it's up to them at that point, you know. But I'm learning that too with my daughter. When she tells me all her little stuff at the school, I'm like, well, did you tell them, did you say? And you know, back then nobody would have told me that. I just kind of kept in my little bubble and hope nobody was mad at me, you know. So it's beautiful once you exercise it, right? Same thing with my marriage, communicating. I was not a good communicator. Same thing. If anything, I was really bad. I was a yeller in the beginning of our relationship. But as time went by, like I started like realizing like what you said, like if you guys both, right, in a marriage or relationship, you guys both come hand in hand, like, and talk about it, and you guys respect each other, at the end of the day, there's going to be a solution, you know, or they're going to say, hey, you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't even mean that, but it came across as that. Because keep in mind, like the way that I speak something, you're going to receive it in a different way. You're going to receive it, and it's all different. And so like we're all so emotional creatures. We can't satisfy the whole. That's why TikTok is crazy, because you say one thing, you got a million responses in the comments. And me, I have to learn, like, it's not my job to please people on TikTok. I'm just doing my stuff. If they like it, they don't like it. You know, what can I do, you know? So it's interesting, but that was such a good story, Giselle, because you're right. You have to learn and realize like friends are gonna come and go, and then just, you know, hope that another one's gonna come next, and here we are.
they do.
Okay, and if she was talking bad about you, you don't need her.
Exactly. That's why I was like, okay, maybe that was not a friendship that was meant to stay forever.
Yeah.
It's okay. I know I'll find a friendship maybe later on when I'm like a lot older or something. I don't know, but for now, I'm okay with the little group that I have, and like entre más chiquitos, no, it's okay.
That's
Yeah,
problem.
that's true. Yeah, I agree.
Any other lessons that you all learned in your 20s about friendships?
Yeah. I think the important part is like and we kind of touched base on it, but it's like I guess we were all moms, so I don't know how you guys placed your schooling in the time, but like I was like in college pregnant, like I think my first year or something. My son has his birthday like a week before my birthday. So I was like 18 and then I turned 19. And so I was like, I don't know, I felt like to go kind of like, I guess it's like a tip, is like know what direction you want to go in life. You don't have to know everything, right, in your 20s, but at least know what you want to do, like what's a passion of yours. Because I feel like I got lost within that age group and I was like doing all this dumb stuff because I was just dating. I was dating, I was drinking, I was going out. And when I was little, I can remember till this day, like I knew what I wanted to be. Every time somebody would ask me, it's like, I want to be a veterinarian. I loved animals. I would watch Discovery Channel and like all these little things that like, were my passions, right? As you get older, the friends that you choose, and sometimes it's not even the friends that you choose, you just happen to live in the wrong neighborhood at the wrong time, right? And so like I just met the wrong people, did the wrong stuff. And I literally, like in college, I was literally just going to go, and I think deep, deep down inside of me, I was going to please my mom mostly. But I didn't even like I hated going. Like I was like, I just want to go out and drink and whatever, because that's what my friends were doing. And it sucks because obviously like that brought the fruit of a child, right? My decisions that I made. But I feel like, and this is what I tell my kids now, like it's scary to think about, right? Especially you have a 16-year-old. I'm like, I started dating my husband at 15 years old, and I'm sure you guys as well. It's just like you kind of go from being like this innocent kid and everything's like it's just fun to like the wrong crowd, and then from there your whole life changes, and it's so scary. And entering into that kind of like preteen, I'm like, okay, what do I tell my kids to like get them to stay firm on the path that like is going to benefit them in the long run, right? Because at the end of the day they're going to make their own decisions, but I have to implant little I guess you could say lessons, right? Like, hey, like learn from me and this and that. And my mom did that to me, but like more in like a harsh way, like you better not be pregnant. And so I was scared to get pregnant. And when I got pregnant, I was like, I am not telling her. I'm gonna hide it as much as I can and stuff. But it's like I feel like if our kids, right, can learn to like discern good friendships and even let go of the ones that are like, hey, like this kid is just rude, bully, blah, blah, blah. Like I don't even want to be his friend. Like if they can make that self decision at a young age, I think that they'll be really, really good adults. And that's what I'm trying to teach them right now. I'm like, okay, so this guy, okay. Like I would hear them, like my oldest son playing online. And I'm like listening in, because I'm like, I don't really know, like that kid. Who's that kid again? And he'll tell me like, oh yeah, this or that is going on, and oh, this kid's getting bullied and blah blah blah. Like, you're not doing it right. He's like, no, I'm not. And I'm trying. And so like I try to get like a little insight on that, because I'm like, I constantly want to redirect him, because if we don't talk to our kids, like, which is what happened with me or with us, like we don't get in what's going on in their lives, like they could be living this whole lifestyle that we don't even know. They could be the bully for all we know, And so your friends, like in your 20s, right? Like the lesson tip is like, even like what Gissell said, even if you have one friend that's really good, is more worth it than having a whole crowd that's going to take you down that path. Because if their parents don't care about them to teach them anything and they're going down that path, like you're just riding their boat to that lifestyle, which is bad and scary. Because what does it lead you? It leads you to wrong decisions, like, right? Like me, like I never became a veterinarian. I, had a kid young, and then from there, like I lost all hope, and I didn't think, even till this day, like I'm still trying to figure out like what do I want to do with my life. Like I'm 30 and I still don't know what I like, and it all stems from kind of deviating from the plan that I had for my life, which for me, I personally believe like, God works all things out. And, if it wasn't for my first child, I would have never stopped drinking. And I would, that's a whole story in itself. But a lot could have been avoided, a lot of hurt, a lot of crying, a lot of stressful depression, and everything you could think of could have been avoided, I think, if I would have been on the right path a little bit longer, you know? Who knows? Maybe I could have been rich. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think friendships are so important. Like who you choose into your circle makes a huge difference.
And
Yeah.
another thing is positivity. Oh my God, you do not want negative friends around you because that's just going to change your whole mindset. That's going to bring you down. It's like, no, I used to have a friend that was very, very negative. And I'm like, dude, you're not going to get anywhere with your negativity. Like, be positive, think positive, you know, think happy thoughts. Like, why is the first thing that comes to your mind, you know, something so negative? Like, that's what I tell my kids, be positive. You know, I tried, I am a very, very positive person. I tried my hardest to be very positive. Um, because as soon as I see somebody start talking negative, I'm like, no, 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 let's not talk about that, you know, let's talk about the positive side. So positivity, surrounding yourself with positive people, because if you surround yourself around negative people, you're gonna be a negative, grouchy person.
Yeah. And yeah, with what Lucy said and with what Sandy said, oh my God. That is true. First, positive people, you need to surround yourself with positive people. Secondly, back to what I said about like me not trusting people. So long story short, where I work and with actually with what Melly was her last video about like befriending coworkers. So I had a coworker who I still work with, and I knew her from like a long time ago, and we started working together, right? So I helped her get to where we work at right now. And I don't know if she thought she had to be my friend because she owed me something, but she never did. I didn't do it with that intention. You get me? Like, you don't have to be my friend. Like, you asked me for some help and I helped you. So anyways, long story short, something happened at work and now she doesn't talk to me. During that time that we were talking, I did kind of consider her a friend because I was like, she was a negative person all the time as well. But I tried to see past that. And I would always tell my fiance, I'm like, you know, she is trying, like, you know, maybe she does want to be my friend, but I don't know if I want to consider her a friend. And I always had these, like, you know, something in my gut telling me, like, something about her, you know, like she was, like you said, Lucy, she was always negative. She was always talking about other coworkers and, like, not in a, like, good way, you get me? Like, she was always making fun of other people. And I'm not like that. So like, I felt like when she would do that, that would kind of bring my mood down. And I would come home and I feel like I would tell like I was always telling my fiance, like, oh, can you believe she said this? Can you believe she said that? And I'm like, no, like I shouldn't, just talking about it is giving me like something, you get me? So anyways, now that we're not friends, I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm kind of glad I didn't really consider her like a friend like that. I did try, but like, that friendship was just not meant to be. So now that I don't talk to her, I mean, we still work together, but I don't talk to her. Like, I feel so much better. Like, you know, her energy was always very like negative. And like, I feel like because I try to be like such a positive person. Sometimes I feel like I get off of like people's energy. And like, sometimes her energy was so negative que like me ponía de malas, you know, like, and now that we don't talk at all, like whatever, definitely we're not friends. I don't think we're ever gonna be friends. You know, we try to keep it obviously professional, but I was like, oh my God, like, you see, this is why I don't trust people, because this is what this girl did, and I was trying to be her friend, but you know, it is what it is. Like,
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
my little timer
sure.
just went off telling me like, oh, you only have 10 minutes. And I know y'all have stuff to do. I know we can continue this
We
conversation.
could talk all day long.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about, everything that you said. And one thing, before you said you had jumped on, I was mentioning to Sandy and and Lucy, that I want to ask, like, oh, if there's like one lesson that you could say to your daughter, like, hey, if you can take away one thing about friendships, like, what would it be? I think we touched on it a little bit, with the positivity and who you're surrounding yourself with. I think I don't, what I thought about when y'all were saying that is when you're a kid, that you're like, your parent tells you, oh, don't hang out with this person because they're bad. And you're like, no, it's not gonna, no me hace, if they offer me the vape, like, I'm not gonna take it. But,
Right.
like, it really does affect, even now that we're older, or now that I'm older, I think about like even some people, like you hang out with them and you're like, ooh, like como que no tiene goals, like they're just kind of like there, and they have just a different thing, and like there's nothing that you could like, you don't better yourselves, like you really, like if you hang out with people that are just like, oh, we're just doing nothing really, like you're gonna end up. And if you see like crowds, I see people from like my hometown that I'm like, pues están en lo mismo, like they're still cholillos, like they're just like, they're still doing the same thing. And I'm like, man, like what if I ended up in that crowd? Like I would have just been there too, like. And so I think it's really important, to really, I think you can evaluate your friendship. Like it's not a bad thing to evaluate and to say, hey, like, is this friendship like what I want? Is this person, like what I want to surround myself with? If they're talking about another person, like they're probably gonna go and talk about me, or do I always want to be in this sad, pessimistic like state? Or, if they're partying, like, is there anything else we're doing? Like what does a friendship like mean? So yeah, we have 7 minutes. Is there anything else that you all want to add to the conversation?
Just to go back to the pessimistic and all that stuff, the good thing is like you can always change it, but again, we can't change people. So if they're not willing to change, then it's your choice to decide to have them into your life or not. That's the good thing about friendship, is you choose your friendship. We don't choose our family, but we choose our friendship. So that's the good part. And then the second part was just like, it's like a rotten apple, right? If you have a rotten apple in a bunch, eventually that rotten apple is going to affect the other apples. And so that's literally how it works. It works with being positive, it works with being negative, it works with being goal driven, it works with, so what you like, my husband and I used to like do personal development and all that stuff. So like all the books, right, they say it's like you're the average of the 5 friends you hang around with. So you're the average of that. So if you're with a bunch of people that are doing way ahead of what you're the average of that. If you're with a whole bunch of people that are like low mentality, poverty mentality, you're going to think like that. And you can notice by what the conversations come out of your mouth. If you're with gossipers, you're going to find yourself gossiping. If you're with people that are goal driven, you're going to be like, hey, I could do that. And so that's why, like, Melly, thank you so much for like inviting me. And I was so nervous because I'm like, she's inviting me, like what? And I'm like in that place where I'm like, wow, like Melly's doing it, like she's taking initiative, she's like putting in, like I'm over here just like, okay, si me sale algo, like okay, cool, but like I really appreciate you like taking that leap of faith, and like it even makes me feel like, oh, like maybe I could do it. Or Lucy, you're sharing that you have a YouTube and you're vlogging. I'm like, I love vlogging my family stuff, but I'm like, I will never be on YouTube, but I'm like, now I'm like, yeah, maybe I could do it, even if it's just like a little bit. Yeah. And then just all like, oh my gosh, I think I remember seeing you do your dance with your daughter for her quinceañera, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and decorating. Oh my gosh, your videos made me like so emotional, because I'm like, I'm literally right around the corner, and I'm like, this is what I love about like all of this, is like life is just about learning. And so we learn from everybody. And so just wanted to say thank you for that before we ended.
Yeah, thank you. I don't want to take time away from anybody else, Lucy or Gissell. You don't have to say anything. But final thoughts?
No, thank you as well.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate you all so much.
Some more of these videos. I love them.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of lessons that we learned in our 20s, I think, that we could share. But yes, Sandy, I appreciate your words, and I appreciate all of you being here. That's something that I love about that TikTok community that we have, being able to connect with others. That's something that I miss, that I don't have here where I'm at. So it's awesome to be able to say like, hey, can you guys jump on a Zoom and get you all here and share our thoughts, and continue to build our little communities. I love that.
Mhm.
So we've had a good conversation. If you all ever want to come back or have ideas, you are welcomed here. Or if you want to do something on your channels, Sandy, with your new channel,
We'll see, we'll see. I know I think I will, because my kids always want, like, why don't you vlog? They watch YouTubers all day long and they're like, why don't you vlog? And I'm like, I don't know. But
Oh
we'll
my God,
see,
I
we'll
wanna do that,
see.
and my daughter's like, no, and I'm like, oh my God.
No,
the
well, she's in a different age group.
Yeah,
Yes.
that'd be awesome. Thank you everybody for watching this video. I will insert all of their socials in the description. Make sure you go and you follow them. They all have really good content. I know Lucy said she hasn't posted in a while, but she will. We're putting that out into the universe. Oh, we can do another Goodwill challenge, Lucy. That one was fun.
Oh yes, that was fun.
But yeah, thank you everybody for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do, and we will see you in the next one.